Welcome back to Triple Off with Sports Talk. I'm Josh. That's Bryce, and that's Roy over there. Pod 22. We appreciate the support. Hit the like button, subscribe, comment if you're new. Baseball is officially back. Opening day was this past week, Thursday. Yep, got some good stuff.
It was a good week.
It was a good week. We'll talk about some baseball here in a little bit. But we're going to kick it off first. We're going to get back into some March Madness. March Madness is still going on, and the Sweet 16 and the Elite Eight happened. And I think we can talk about a few games because we had some upsets. I'm going to be honest. The first one we'll start was the first one of the Sweet 16. Number 2 Arizona falls to number 6 Clemson. And I'll go first on this one. The guards for Arizona is what we thought would carry this team into a deep run. I mean, they just didn't play well. I mean, Caleb Love gets 13 points. He shoots 5 for 18. Kalen Boswell, he gets 3 points on 1 of 6 shooting. I mean, their guard play just fell apart. I mean, that's what I got from it. And Clemson did what they needed, scored 77 points, and just survived.
Go ahead, Roy.
I mean, I was always hesitant to pick Arizona. I didn't have Arizona going very far because of their guard play. Caleb is a hell of a ball player, but he went 0 for 7 from 3. That was something that you've seen through him throughout the year. And so I just thought their guard play was too inconsistent. Clemson played a lot better. They're just better defenders than what I thought they'd be. I actually, ACC, like I said, ACC last week was a lot better than I thought they were, and Arizona just proved that the Pac-12 was not that good.
Yeah. I think we all kind of agreed that Arizona wasn't probably the best number 2 seed that we've seen in the past, but there was a lot of teams that went down this week that were pretty high seeding, and some of them I didn't really think should have been that high.
Yeah. The next game, I mean, Connecticut, San Diego State. Connecticut controlled the game and beat piss out of them, so we'll just skip over that. The next one was a great game to watch from start to finish. I don't think the game ever got out of hand more than 6 points. Illinois takes down the 2 seed Iowa State, who was considered a dark horse favorite in this tournament after what they showed in the Big 12 tournament. This was a Terrence Shannon show. I mean, 29 points. Illinois did not shoot from the free throw line very well, but Terrence Shannon went out with some foul trouble, and so did Coleman Hawkins. And Illinois gave up. I think they had about an 8-point lead-ish, and they gave it up, but they never trailed in the game the entire time. So they always hit that shot when they needed to. Damask only had 7 points, but he played well whenever Terrence wasn't in the game. And Illinois' defense, I mean, to give up only 69 points for a team that was very gradedly poor at defense was very impressive. And it was a good game to watch from start to finish.
Yeah, we talked that it was going to be Illinois' offense versus Iowa State's defense because they're 2 of the number 1 ranked in those categories. So it just showed Illinois' offense just showed up late in a tight game, and it led them to victory over Iowa State. Josh's winner.
Yeah. I actually thought it was not a very good game either way. I thought Iowa State's turnovers and poor shooting, poor execution on offense, which I hadn't seen them. I mean, I watched them several games this year, and that's not what they did. And Illinois, Iowa State had open looks. They just didn't make crap. Yeah. Illinois, Iowa State's defense didn't show up, and I thought Illinois would ease. I mean, they had chances. Illinois had chances after chances just to blow this game open.
100%. The free throws were horrible.
Free throws. I mean, it should have been at one point should have been an 18-point game. If they would have, I think they were 1 for 8 at one point in free throws. If they would have just made, they would have had made a few of those. They would have had an 18-point lead. This was one of the 3 games that I thought that it would be really good, and I was kind of disappointed in both teams. I just didn't feel like either one of them played their style. I mean, it should have been Illinois should have won that easily. Iowa State didn't come to play, but Illinois moved on.
And then the last game of the night was another shocker. Were they the first 1 seed to fall at the time? They were because Houston falls the next day. UNC falls to Alabama. I didn't think UNC. I don't think they didn't shoot well from the field, and you can't do that against a team like Alabama that's going to run and gun. And I mean, 89-87. It's only a 2-point loss. But if Bama's going to get up into that 80, 90-point range, it's going to be hard for UNC to keep up because they pride themselves on the defensive end, and I didn't think they played very well defensively either.
Yeah,
Totally.
it sucks. North Carolina falling. That was one of my winners, and yeah, you have to show up, and I want to give props to SEC this year. They're not really a basketball school, but they made a few deep runs into the tournament this year, which kind of shocked me.
Yeah, this was a no defensive game for either team.
Yeah.
I mean, it was up and down, up and down. I mean, and it was a swing. I mean, this was probably one of the better games of the Sweet 16. It would just swing one way to the other. North Carolina would get on a run, then Alabama would get on a run, but Alabama they're hot. I mean, they move that ball and they make shots. And I was actually very impressed. North Carolina's guards did not play very well, and when your guards don't play well, that's what the NCAA is: defense and guards. And
Yep,
one
100%.
or both have to play great. And if one doesn't, if your guard play is terrible, you're going to lose.
And I think that was for Thursday. Will take us into the second day of the Sweet 16. I'm not going to talk about the NC State Marquette game. NC State controlled the game the entire way. They ended up winning by 9, but they controlled it for the most part. What's the big guy's name? Burns.
Yeah,
I mean, Burns just dominated Marquette. All the Big East teams.
That was not even a game. So
no, it really wasn't, and neither really was the Purdue Gonzaga outside of the first half. The second half, man, Purdue just dominated them. They had no answer for Zach Edey. I thought Gonzaga's guard play was fine, but like they could not guard Zach Edey the entire game, so he just did whatever he wanted. And that'll take us into which ended up being a really good game, unfortunately for Duke. The Duke takes down the number 1 seed Houston. I'll go first on this one. Duke played well. I mean, well enough to win. Let me rephrase that. They didn't play well. Neither did Houston. But this game has completely got an asterisk next to it after, what's his face? Jamal Shed, Houston's number 1 player, who I thought was having a great tournament before he rolls his ankle in the 5 minutes in, doesn't play the rest of the night. Houston wins this game if Shed plays the whole game. They had no offense outside of Shed, and Houston struggled on offense already with it, but without Shed, it was over. Duke made the buckets that they needed to. Flipkowski played well, but Houston was unmatched or understaffed offensively, and that's ended up why they lost the game.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty obvious whenever they're scoring 100 points one game and then they come out and score 51 the next game when their best player goes down. I mean, Duke's a good defensive team, but not to hold them to 51 as good as that Houston offense was.
Oh no, and Shed hurt their defense. It's like that when he went down, their whole attitude just went. It just was not the same Houston team for the rest of the game. They still had chances to win. They just couldn't get the key rebounds, and Duke just out hustled and outplayed them there once he went down.
And then the last game of the night of the Sweet 16, Tennessee beats Creighton, and this was a dogfight for most of the game. There was a few ebbs and flows, but Tennessee played really well. They really held Ryan Kalbrunner to only 14 points, which I thought was massive. I mean, I didn't think they had the size to guard him, and they took care of him. And Dalton Connect, even though he took 21 shots, didn't have a great percentage, still scores 24, and Ziegler scores 18. I mean, they just played a good team game, and they end up finding a way to win.
Yeah, it was a dogfight, but Tennessee's just got their best players are the best players in the country right now in basketball. So you get down in those tight games, those are the ones that they come out on top if their best players are performing the way that they can.
Yeah, I mean, they lived to die. Tennessee, I mean, they stepped up. When it was a great – this, to me, was the best game of the tournament, of the Sweet 16. And I thought both teams did really well. Tennessee just made the plays at the end to get the win, made the shots, and moved on.
And that'll take us into the Elite Eight, where unfortunately Illinois' Cinderella run comes to an end when they face UConn.
Cinderella, they were a 3 seed.
Yeah, they still weren't supposed to win their last 2 games.
They're an idiot.
They lose 77-52. I'm gonna be honest. In the first half, UConn played about as bad basketball as you could have. I mean, they at one point in the first half, they popped up on the screen. UConn from the field, outside of their center, their 7-2 center, Colgan or whatever you want to say his name was.
Mm-hmm.
Klingon. They were 1 for 18 from the field. Illinois had a 3-point lead. They could not, or maybe they were down 3. I don't think they ever
down 3.5.
Yeah, Illinois could not take over. Illinois' game plan in the first half was atrocious. All they did was attack the 7-2 guy with 6'6" guards. I mean, they didn't get it over. He finished the first half with 6 blocks. I mean, they didn't shoot the 3 ball well. Maybe that's why they were driving, but they didn't play well. And the second half, UConn goes on a 30-0 run and absolutely shuts the door and ends their season. Good year for Illinois. I didn't think they'd beat UConn. Maybe not in the fashion that it went on a 30-0 run, but hell of a year. But yeah, UConn looks unstoppable right now. So
it didn't look like your coach had a good game plan whenever it came in, the way he was attacking the center instead of having a shooter shoot. And then whenever it wasn't working, he didn't change anything. And then it led to a 30-0 run. So, I mean, you have to make adjustments whenever you're in the tournament and you're getting blown out. Like, it's something, and their coach just didn't.
I don't know if that was a game plan. I just feel like Illinois got out of their shell quickly. They're known for moving that ball and swinging around, moving both sides of the court. And it seemed like it got to the middle when they were swinging it, it'd get to the top and they wouldn't swing it to Shannon or Damascus for a three. They would drive to the back, or whoever would drive to the basket or shoot a three themselves, and that wasn't Illinois what they normally do. And then when Terrence Shannon, he is so good on the run, Connecticut did a good job of getting in front of him, making it tough, not letting him have a free reign at the basket. And Connecticut's just, their defense is just really good. I mean, a 30-0 run is just, I mean, that's unheard of. I thought. In the first half, Connecticut didn't play well, but I thought it was going to be a close game second half. But it just got, I mean, the wheels fell off quick in the second half.
Yeah. And then
it just didn't well. Go ahead.
And then the other game, the Elite Eight, Alabama plays Clemson, and that's where their Cinderella story ends as well. Alabama, it's the same thing as the Sweet 16. They scored 89 points. They run and gun. They controlled the pace. And I think that's why they won. Every game Alabama's played this tournament, they've controlled the pace. And at the end of the day, if they're controlling the pace, scoring 89, 90 points a game, it's going to be hard to beat them because they're in their groove.
Well, yeah, I agree. But I don't think Clemson had a super hard path here. I know that they had two upsets, but I didn't think that Baylor and Arizona were as good as Clemson. I thought Clemson was a better team, even though they were 6th seed. But Alabama definitely controls the pace, and whenever you're playing against them, like, you can't let a team do whatever they want to the entire time. And that's what Alabama's done the entire tournament.
See, I mean, Clemson is a slow down team and wants to work the ball and get good shots, because Baylor is a team that they played that scores 90 points a game, and they beat them 72-64. Arizona was a team that scores in the 80s, and they held them to 72 points. That didn't happen with Alabama. Alabama just said, "Screw it, we're gonna shoot threes, and we're gonna make you shoot threes," and that's what they did. And when you get up in Clemson's not an 80-point team, and that got them in trouble, and Alabama pulled out the win. So,
and that's going to take us into the second day of the Elite Eight. Tennessee, unfortunately, does not make it out of their region. They lose to the number 1 seeded Purdue. I'll go first on this one again. Unlike the last couple rounds, even though Connect was still on the last few rounds, they had other guys step up and still score 20. They had nothing outside of Connect. They're good outside of Connect. All their players played like shit. Ziegler, 3 of 12 from the field, 1 of 8 from 3. Josiah James, that's it. 8 points. I mean, he only took 4 shots the whole night. Connect scores 37. The next leading scores 9. I mean, they don't even get to double digits. You can't beat Purdue if you have one player playing against them. It just isn't possible. They made it tight for a long time, but they had no answer for Edey as well.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like Tennessee was probably the better team besides Zach Edey. I mean, he shot 22 free throws this game, and you go back and look at it, the guy's just so unathletic that every time he goes up for a shot, the whistle's blown because his arms are just flailing every single time. And it's tough to beat that whenever the guy gets a call or a bucket every single time he touches the ball in the paint. So, obviously, Tennessee's role players have to step up too, though.
Well, Tennessee was the better team. Tennessee was the more talented team. I'm not saying better team, more talented team. They didn't have anybody for Zach Edey. And that's been everybody's problem all year, is trying to get him out of the lane. And he does somehow sit in that lane forever. I saw a bunch of things people complaining about him standing, forever. And that's just normal. I mean, that everybody does that in the college and NBA. There's no 3-second call. I don't know. Can't remember last time I saw a 3-second call in college or NBA. I mean, that's just not what they call anymore. But when he can get position, and shoot a 5-foot, 3-foot shot to the basket, he's going to make it every time. And these rims are so soft now; they just bounce in. And I think he averages 16 free throws a game. So I mean, it's not like it's.
And he is an above average free throw shooter.
Oh, and he's a good. Yeah. So it's just tough when he had everything. Then Purdue they played Purdue's game where it was slow down the ball, work it around, and that's what they did. And Tennessee needed to get him up and run. That's how you beat Edie's, get him up and running. Because that's the only way you can
tired.
do it. Yeah.
And then the last game of the Elite Eight, NC State takes down Duke. And this one was a tale of two different halves. At the half, Duke leads 27-21, pretty low-scoring game. In the second half, NC State scores 55 points to Duke's 37. They win by 12. I mean, just what a halftime adjustment. I mean, 21-55 differential in first half points and second. Burns was unstoppable. I give hats off to the coaching staff because this is a conference game. These teams have played each other, and to make an adjustment like that at halftime and go out and drop 55 points and a half, hats off because that's impressive.
Yeah, it seems like every year there's one team that is a low seed that just gets that hotness, and this year it's NC State, and I mean they're so hot right now. It's hard to see them getting stopped. Burns is a beast down there. He's like, what is he, like 400 pounds?
He's like 312 or something.
Yeah, Josh said there's reports that he's getting NFL scouts.
He has NFL scouts contacting him to play in the NFL.
Like, it's hard to stop a guy that big down there. So,
well, the thing was, these two teams played 3 weeks ago in the ACC tournament, and North Carolina State beat them. It was a closer game. I watched that game, and I watched this game. Duke made no adjustments to either one of the times. Either game to stop Burns or even slow down their guard play, and North Carolina State's been moving the ball well. That's what they're winning by doing by not getting in a different. They control the pace, they control the game. They're doing what they want to do. Yeah, that first half, I mean, they were down, but Duke wasn't doing anything. North Carolina State was just not hitting shots, and then they did, and I just felt like Duke's not. North Carolina State has just been they are hot, but they've played some teams and they just play their game and they just do what they need to do, and that's what's got them in the Final Four. So,
yeah. So Roy, let's move on to the Final Four.
Yep.
What is your pick for UConn, Alabama?
UConn. How can you pick against UConn right now?
Yeah,
because Alabama's going to make them speed up. But Connecticut can play that game. That's
they can speed up with you.
They're 9, 8, 10 deep. And they can play slow, they can play fast. So that's gonna be tough.
Yeah. I'm also rolling with UConn.
I'm on the same thing.
I mean, most people came into the tournament saying UConn was the best team. If they're gonna lose, they're gonna have to play very bad one day, and another team's gonna have to have their best day. I don't know if UConn can have a bad day. I mean, they looked pretty piss poor against Illinois for 20 minutes, and they beat us by over 20. So,
but I can say this: if Connecticut doesn't come and they shoot the way they did in the first half against Illinois, the difference is Alabama has more players that can score quickly than Illinois. I mean, you have Shannon Damascus. The other they got some scores, so they could dig UConn into a hole early. The difference is UConn can come back. They're that strong to come back.
Then on the other side,
what's your pick for the other side, Roy?
NC State and Purdue.
I'm gonna go Purdue. I don't think that NC State can control Edie. I think that's gonna be tough. I think Burns will get in foul trouble quickly, and they both play a slow pace, and I think that still favors Connecticut. Phil still favors Purdue.
Yeah, I'm also rolling with Purdue. I think I do agree Burns could get in foul trouble. That could really be trouble. But I also think Edie and Burns, they could almost just wash each other out almost at a point. You know, like I could see Edie not being able to move Burns very well, but I could also see Burns not being able to get it over Edie. You know, because he's too tall. But I like Purdue's guard play too much. They're too good of shooters around Edie, and I don't think NC State's as deep. So I'm also going to go with Purdue.
I think this is going to be a really physical game in the paint, and I could see one of the two, Edie or Burns, getting in foul trouble really early. And I think whoever is the one that's not getting in the foul trouble is the one that's going to win the game. And I'm going to say NC State just because I like Burns and I want to see them beat Purdue.
Yeah. I also want to see NC State win. I just don't think they will.
Yeah.
I wanted to see Big Ten in it.
And then for a national championship, Roy, who you got? UConn, in your eyes, Purdue.
I mean, hell, UConn. I mean, how can you pick against them right now? I mean, that's tough. I mean, that's easy. UConn, you got to go with them.
I think UConn could really blast Purdue. Like, if they have the 7-2 center Klingon, that he could play with Edey. And I'm not saying he's better than Edey because I'm not going to say that. But, I mean, he can sit right there with them. He won't move. He's 7'2". He can guard that height. And, I mean, UConn's defenders will lock down those shooters from the three-point line. Because if they don't shoot threes, they don't score that or give it to Edey. They don't have, like, the mid-range guys. UConn's got it all. They can – I think UConn can blast Purdue.
I think the problem in NC State or Purdue, they can't match Connecticut, either one of them, because Connecticut's just too good. I think Alabama is a better fit to play UConn than the other two.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, UConn's just so hot, and they're so deep is the issue. Like, they have so many players that can score that you can't stop. So,
I think that's all we have for March Madness. March Madness has been good, been fun. Illinois went on a ride. I love it. So I think that's going to take us into our NFL breakdowns.
Well, we give the update on the bracket on the.
Oh yeah, we can talk about that real quick.
Or just who's the top two? Or
I don't need to look at it. I can tell you. So to update our Triple Alphas bracket, it is down to two people. Cam Monacle, he's currently in first place, and he has UConn winning. He will win the bracket if any of the three teams win except Purdue. If Alabama, UConn, or NC State win it, he will win. Okay. If Purdue wins, Air Force Webb will win it because he has Purdue winning, so he will jump Cam in the standings. They both have Purdue and UConn in the finals.
Shout out to
Really?
Webb.
Yeah, wow. So either way, they're either both going to get points for that or none or half, you know what I mean?
It just comes down
comes down to that. So Webb needs Purdue. Cam has the other, all three other than Purdue. So I'm hoping for that case it's Purdue and UConn, and then winner takes it. So that's going to take us into our NFL breakdown segment. And the first team up is the Philadelphia Eagles, one of the worst teams in football. Sorry. They go 11-6 last season. They lose the wild card round to Tampa. Their picks, they own the number 22 pick in the draft, 2 seconds, a fourth, 3 fifths, and a sixth. So a bunch of count picks there in the back. Let's go over some stats. Unlike most teams, they did have just one quarterback for the season, even though he did play injured. Jalen Hurts, 65% completion, 3,800 yards, 23 touchdowns to 15 picks. Not the greatest ratio. He was sacked 36 times, which was higher among NFL quarterbacks. Running back room, it was kind of a two-headed monster. If you're counting Jalen Hurts, it's a three-headed. DeAndre Swift for 1,000 yards, 5 touchdowns. The number is low because Jalen Hurts has 600 yards and 15 touchdowns. Thank you, Tush Push. And Kenneth Gainwell did get some runs in there for 360 and 2 touchdowns. And then receiving, it was really a two-headed monster of A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, both with 7 touchdowns. Brown goes for 1,400 and Devontae goes for 1,000. And they currently are slated to have $32 million in cap for the offseason. With some free agencies, they've already made moves. I'll start with you, Roy. Roy, what was your outlook of the Eagles season this year?
I mean, they started off hot, right? They were one of the best record in football for the longest time. I think the whole problem was I think Jalen Hurts got hurt. I think that was a problem. I don't think they did a good job. I think they run him too much, and that was my opinion. They got him hurt early, and their defense kind of faltered there at the end. They needed some help on the defensive side, but I mean, it's still a good team. I mean, one of the best in football. So, no, I think they just struggled through it. They struggled to get to the finish line, and then just did not do well in the playoff game. So,
yeah. How about you, Bryce? What did you think of the Eagles season last year?
So, if you went to like our 4th or 5th episode, I'm pretty sure I said that the Eagles were the best team in the league, and there was nobody that was going to touch them. And the Eagles had probably the biggest midseason downfall I've ever seen in my entire life. They went from the best team in the entire league, just an absolute powerhouse, to losing every single game. And it wasn't even like they were losing close games. They were getting dominated by teams that weren't good, like the Giants. And the issue, in my opinion, I think the coaching is terrible. I mean, we talked about it during the season. There was plays where Christian McCaffrey is like watching the game and he's calling out the play before it even happens. if somebody who's on offense who's not scouting the team's calling it, obviously the defense who's scouting them all week knows the play that they're running every single time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they just couldn't get any yards halfway through the season because everybody knew every play they were running. So,
yeah. How about you, RJ? As an Eagles fan, what was the outlook of the season last year?
We're good. It's not like we're bad, but Nick Sirianni, he needs to go. I personally don't think he's the coach for our team. I think he fits the Eagles motto, but it's kind of false in how he shows himself to everybody. I think we have a core guys on offense that can play really well, but losing the first game in the playoffs to the Bucs hurt really bad.
Yeah.
So I don't really want to think about it more, and I'm moving on to the draft, and we've made some moves to this free agency. So better outlook for next year.
Yeah, I mean, everybody agrees. I mean, when the Eagles, what were they, 10-1, 10-2 mid-season? I mean, they were unstoppable, and nobody could beat them. I thought the Cowboys gave them the best game, but that's because it's the division team and they know them. But outside of that, man, I mean, they were beating up on people. I do agree with you, Roy. I mean, Jalen Hurts did look hurt a lot, and that was it a lower ankle, leg, foot, something like that. It definitely looked like it was altering him on dropbacks. It looked like he couldn't plant and throw as well as he wanted to. A.J. Brown, the first 8 games when they were winning, I mean, he was the leading receiver in catches, yards, and touchdowns. And after that, it was pretty quiet, and he started to make some noise. So maybe that stirred some people the wrong way. I don't know. I don't know if I've seen a drop-off like this very often, especially like that dominant of a team, especially after they beat Kansas City. That's when it felt like everything went south was after that game. I do think it was the coaching, and I don't even say it was Nick Sirianni. I thought it was more the coordinators more than anything, and all the coordinators are gone. Sirianni is the only coach left, and he brought in a new staff. So maybe it looks different, and it is going to look different because of the free agency class they brought in. I mean, they go out and they get Bryce Huff from the Jets, signed to a big deal. They go and get Saquon Barkley, probably the move of the offseason, the biggest name, on a 3-year deal, I believe, 3 or 4. C.J. Gardner-Johnson's back. They let DeAndre Swift go to Chicago, but you don't need him when you get Saquon Barkley.
Saquon 2-year, $26 million.
2-year. They get a new backup quarterback. They do bring in Devin White for like no money. I didn't really understand how he only got like $4 million. And another big one is Jason Kelce does retire, so they do lose a big piece of the offensive line. Roy, I'll start with you. What are you looking for next season on the Eagles? Do you think it's going to be the same dominance, or do you think they could be a little bit worse with Barkley, or what do you think?
No, I think they're going to be better. I mean, I think what they've done, if they can protect Jalen Hurts, they can protect him and not run him as much. You got Barkley back there now. Let him run, and then just use Hurt as just throwing to Devontae Smith and AJ Brown. I mean, that's why you got him. Don't be running him on 3rd down and long. Let him throw the ball and use Saquon Barkley. I think Saquon struggled so bad in New York because of I thought their coaching staff was bad. I thought he just was not used right, and I think Barkley will fit great in that offense. So and their defense is going to look better. I think they got better, and I think this team's, in my opinion, is one of the Super Bowl favorites.
How about you, Bryce? What do you think of the Eagles next season?
It's hard to think that they're not going to be better, especially with the addition with Saquon Barkley. He's the top 5 running back in the league when he's healthy. Yeah. So if he's staying healthy, you got to think this is the best roster in the league right now. So I'm not an Eagles fan, but I would feel like as an Eagles fan, you would have to think this year it's a Super Bowl run or it's a bust on the season. There's so much money into superstars on this team right now, and they have such a great team that the coaching should be able to win with this team, in my opinion.
How about you, RJ? What are your expectations this season?
I expect a lot from the offensive side of the ball. We got Saquon, so that's going to open up not only the run game, especially with Kellen Moore, who's more of a run-heavy OC anyway. It's going to open the pass game as well. Give A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith some rest. I think people forget that Dallas Goedert wasn't there all last year. He's a big piece to our offense, so I think we'll go far that way. And then we need Sidney Brown to come back healthy. After tearing his ACL last year, we need him to come back, play some good ball, and C.J. Gardner-Johnson is going to change the outlook of our defense. So
Yeah.
And then, we got a veteran linebacker in Devin White that I think we can do a lot with, especially in the pass game. And then just keep our core D lineman there. I know we've basically switched Hassan Reddick most recently for Josh Huff, essentially.
Yeah,
So,
pretty much.
if we keep those core guys in our D line healthy all year, I think we can go far. And I do think it's a Super Bowl or bust year. So, that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, I do agree. I do think the Eagles are a better team. The way that the Eagles, and I'm not even going to say it's Nick Sirianni because they've done this before Nick Sirianni. It's always been running back by committee. I mean, they've always had 2 or 3 guys, usually speedsters and 1 power back. Almost before it was popular, the Eagles were doing it. I think if you get Barkley, you got to get away from that. I mean, I'm not saying you have to give him the ball every play because you got to keep him healthy. But you do not pay Saquon Barkley that money to run Jalen Hurts as much as you did last year. Like Roy said, you cannot run him that much. Maybe at the tush push at the goal line, but and you nailed it, RJ. They have got to use Dallas Goedert more this year. I mean, he was before last season. I mean, every time you watch a Cowboy Eagles game, he got 2 touchdowns in a blink. It's crazy. Last year, he was a non-factor almost. And when you're only throwing the ball on the outside, I mean, nothing's open during the middle. Like that's all Dallas Goedert's territory. If you have A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, you should have that middle of the field with Goddard open. And if you get Barkley, he can be a check down route now. So I like the additions. I thought Bryce Huff was a great addition. I thought Barkley was a good addition. I honestly think the Eagles are the best team in the division, especially if they get that young D line to take that next step. I mean, they got 2 of the best interior defensive linemen, but Carter played pretty good, but maybe not as much pressure as you like. And what was the other one, RJ? The one from year before, Jordan Davis.
Chris Davis.
Jordan Davis was the one that
Jordan Davis.
Second year you thought maybe would take that next step. He didn't really take that next step, and I know he had veterans in front of him, but you probably wish that they would take the next step. But I mean, they have $32 million in cap. It's a little bit different with Kelsey retiring, so hopefully the leadership in that locker room is still there. I know they have a lot of veterans still there, but I still think this is the best team in the division on paper. Yeah, I don't think we have anything else. I mean, is there any questions you have for RJ for Eagles wise, or
are you sad that Jason Kelsey's gone? I mean, you won't have that connection to Taylor Swift or anything.
No, I mean we got the new upcoming Cam Jurgens. He's played a lot, like 700 snaps in the NFL. Never let up a sack or gave a penalty. So I mean,
who the hell is that?
He's a guard. I think he was playing guard. He might.
Yeah, he'll be fine. I think he'll be good.
Do you have any questions for him?
I don't think so.
I don't think I have any either. I mean, their moves speak for themselves. They're trying to win. So.
Oh yeah, they went out and did whatever they could to try to improve that ball club. That's what a franchise is supposed to do.
Yeah, I agree. Well, thanks RJ for coming on. I don't have any more questions for you. So.
Good deal. You guys rip them up for the Cowboys.
Cowboys are up in about 20 minutes. Don't worry.
Let's go. All right. Good deal.
See ya.
See ya. Thanks.
That's going to lead us into our next team, the Cleveland Browns. They go 11-6, and they lose in the wild card as well. They lose to the Houston Texans. The Browns do not have a first-round pick. I do believe they are still paying for the Deshaun Watson trade. They have a 2, a 3, a 5, a 6, and a 7. So they don't have a lot of draft capital in this draft. Before I go into the stats, this was probably one of the most surprising runs to a playoff berth I've ever seen. I mean, I'm going to go through the list of quarterbacks here. Joe Flacco, Deshaun Watson, P.J. Walker, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, and Jeff Driscoll all make an appearance in this season, and they make their way to the playoffs. Also, without playing, Nick Chubb outside the first 2 games. So hats off to them before I get into the stats. Deshaun Watson, who was the starter before leaving for injury, 1,100 yards, 7 touchdowns, 4 picks, never really got going. P.J. Walker, the backup originally, he gets 647 yards, 1 touchdown to 5 picks. They cut him. Dorian Thompson-Robinson, who they were high on as a rookie, 440 yards, 1 touchdown, 4 picks. They bench him. And then in comes their Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, Joe Flacco, 1,600 yards, 13 touchdowns, 8 picks. And then I know it doesn't show what he did because they ran the ball well, but Jerome Ford, 800 yards, 4 touchdowns. Kareem Hunt, 400 yards, 9 touchdowns. Nick Chubb, like we said, only plays 2 games, didn't have any stats really. And then receiving, it was the Amari Cooper show with 1,200 yards, 5 touchdowns, and David Njoku 800 yards and 6 touchdowns. And they are slated to have $4 million in cap only. Bryce, I'm going to start with you on this. What on earth did the Browns do to make the playoffs with this roster?
I think, they have a lot of players on their team that shouldn't even be allowed to play in the NFL for one. I mean, Deshaun Watson and Kareem Hunt should both be in prison. It's actually crazy that they're not. If any of us did the same things they did, we'd have 30 years in prison. Literally, one's a rapist and one kicked his girlfriend in the face. That's crazy. But to me, they had great coaching, and this team, over the past few years, I mean, they were horrible growing up. Watching them, they had 0-win seasons. Ever since Baker came, it felt like the culture kind of changed there. And they're just this team that's just above mediocre that's going to do enough to get in the playoffs every year. That's what it feels like to me. Joe Flacco came in and did exactly what he needed to do. He's old. He's obviously not going to go out there and be a superstar or win a Super Bowl like he did with the Ravens. But he's going to sit in there and he's going to be smart and make good plays because he's been playing for 20 years. So that Nick Chubb going down hurt this team so much because they've always been a run-first team. And Jerome Ford isn't Nick Chubb. I mean, he's a good running back, but he's not Nick Chubb. To me, their best thing about the team was David Njoku. I think he really solidified himself as a top 3-5 tight end in the league. I mean, the guy's an animal. He catches it in stride, and nobody's bringing him down by themselves. It takes one or two every single time, and he's just running through people. So this team's fun to watch because they have a lot of people that you would probably count out that are playing great. Especially, everybody loved the Joe Flacco little run that they had in the playoffs. But
Roy, how about you? What do you think of the Browns?
Well, the Browns, actually, I think they have talent on that roster. Their defense was number one. I mean, that's how they made it to the playoffs. Was their defense it was just hard to score against, and they did a good job. They have, they have a ton of defensive players. I mean, besides Myles Garrett and Denzel Ward and those guys, that defense is solid, and they could get some backups for them. I think their offense has talent. They just needed a quarterback. That's what they've need. They've never. I mean, you can say they've gone from who'd you say? You said
they went
Baker
from
Mayfield.
Watson.
He was there. I'm talking about guys that they've had in the past. I mean, Johnny Manziel. They've just not had a quarterback. They go and get Deshaun Watson, which he's too busy doing other things outside of football. So I don't know.
Rapist.
And then you go and get a backup like Jameson Winston, who another one just needs to sit on the sidelines. But Nick Chubb, Amari Cooper, they got Jerry Jeudy. They got Elijah Moore. They got David Njoku. And then they got, Jerome Ford, was a great running back when he came in. They've got talent. Well. They got talent up and down that offense. They just need a quarterback. And that's what this team has a chance to make the playoffs again this year if they can get some quarterback play. And that's what they got with Joe Flacco. I mean, he's got experience, and that's what it is. But who's on their roster right now, quarterback wise, I don't know if that could get you to the playoffs. So that's what they're going to have to rely on Nick Chubb to get him there.
I mean, Deshaun Watson healthy on the Texans. He was an animal.
Oh, he was one of the best quarterbacks in the league on the Texans.
Well, that was
he got busy getting massages.
Hey, so he's been a shell of himself since he got to Cleveland.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah, it sucks whenever he comes out every game and there's fans chanting, "Bring out the rapist." That's got to be tough to play in.
Yeah.
Well, I think he hasn't been good for 4 years, probably.
3 or 4. I think he's
barely played any of that.
Yeah, it's true. He hasn't barely been on the field. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. Mine's gonna be quick because Roy literally said everything I was gonna say. I'll start with what Roy talked about. They don't have a good defense. They have a great defense. They have the number one defense, and they also have the best defensive player in football in Myles Garrett. I mean, he is a absolute monster. Now, number one, Aaron Donald is not in the NFL anymore. That's why I said that. He is a monster. I mean, he is literally unblockable. Denzel Ward, great lockdown corner. Wish their linebackers were a little bit better, but still, defense is really good, and that's why they made it to the playoffs.
You can get by with mediocre linebackers, though, when you have no time in the pocket because you have such a great edge rusher.
100%. I do agree with Bryce. David Njoku, especially late run and in the playoffs. David Njoku was great down the stretch. And he has always been one of those guys with so much potential and just never lived up to it. And he finally started to live up to it. Yeah, Nick Chubb going down crushed them because they couldn't run the ball like they could. Kareem Hunt and Jerome Ford are good running backs, but they don't have the breakaway speed that / downhill power that Nick Chubb has both. And yeah, like Roy said, they have no quarterback play. They've had this issue forever. They made the move for Watson because they thought Watson would still be his Houston Watson, which would have been a top 5 quarterback probably. But he's been a shell of himself. He hasn't been on the field. He gets hurt. He's raping people. He's at the massage parlor. I mean, he can't make up his mind where he wants to be. God damn it, that was funny.
This guy should be put in a cage with a lion. He raped like 57 people.
And the contract they gave out to Deshaun Watson was unbelievable. 100% fully guaranteed.
He should be in the prison league with Henry Ruggs and Rashee Rice soon.
Wow. But I don't have anything else on the Browns. They need a quarterback. They need Watson to play his old self. If they don't, they are never going to be able to win a Super Bowl. They don't have the pieces. You have Amari Cooper and David Njoku, but you don't have that number 2 receiver that most teams have. And they need Watson to elevate some of these guys, and he just hasn't, and that's why they've struggled. But
they still don't have a first-round pick, so we're not going to see a different team this year.
And Kevin Stefanski is a hell of a coach, so I will give him that. To get that team to the playoffs the way they did, and I mean, hats off to him. That's going to take us into my Dallas Cowboys, who they go 12-5, and they lose wild card round to Green Bay in embarrassing fashion. They get dominated. For picks, they hold the number 24 pick. They have a 2, a 3, a 5, a 6, a 7, and a 7. So pretty traditional. Dak has an MVP caliber year, doesn't win it, with 4,500 yards, 36 touchdowns, and 9 picks. Pollard was the main back with 1,000 yards and 6 touchdowns, and Rico Dwaddle being the backup with 361 and 2. Receiving, it was a CeeDee Lamb show. He has a career year, leads the league in receptions and second receiving yards, 135 receptions, 1,750 yards, and 12 touchdowns. He dominated the NFL, with Jake Ferguson taking a step up with 71 catches, 760 yards, 5 touchdowns, and Brandon Cooks, who had a decent year, not too many yards, 657, but did have 8 touchdowns. So they used him in the red zone. And the Cowboys are currently slated to have $6 million. Roy, I'll start with you. What happened to the Cowboys last season?
They needed to start Trey Lance as their quarterback, and they probably win.
Jesus. Now Cooper Rush.
Oh, brother.
They they couldn't run the ball. I mean, you can't do much when you can't run the ball. And then in the playoff, the defense I don't know what the hell happened to your defense. I mean, defense was solid all year, and then I don't know what happened there.
Easy.
They got a great defense, and you just choke the chicken in the playoff, man. So no, I mean, you got to get a running back. I mean, and somebody to help CeeDee Lamb to get him more open so you can use him. I don't know. Ever since you let the idiot from Ohio State go, when going with Tony Pollard and Rico Dwaddle or whatever the freak his name is. Come on, you guys need a star running back, and then somebody get some pressure off of Dak Prescott. I mean, Dak can look really good, or he can look like shit. So you got to get some more consistent play out of him. But they got to get a running game if they're going to go back to the old days.
Yeah. How would you, Bryce? What were the Cowboys last year?
I don't think that their run game was as bad as you guys might think. I think Tony Pollard is a perfect running back for that offense that you guys had. He catches the ball out of the backfield, and this is a pass-first team, in my opinion. I mean, when Dak's on, they're the best offense in the entire league. I mean, him and CeeDee Lamb are unstoppable together, and Tony Pollard has the ability to break out a run here and there when he's needed to. Tony Pollard's not there anymore, and I think that your guys' GM should be absolutely burned alive for not going out and getting any of the star running backs this year.
The Cowboys are the only team in the NFL that do not have a GM.
It's Jerry Jones.
Yeah, they haven't had one ever.
I know. He's like an owner. He just does everything.
He's owner / GM.
Yeah, so the fact that he didn't – I thought maybe – I didn't think Derrick Henry was going to go there. I knew he was going to go to the Ravens. I didn't think Saquon would go there. I really thought that the guy that you guys needed to get was Aaron Jones. and he wasn't paid shit to go to the Vikings. If the Cowboys added Aaron Jones, they were a Super Bowl favorite, in my opinion. I mean, he would have fit that offense so unbelievably well that it would have been the best offense in the league by far, if in my eyes. I think that they are missing the number 2 receiver that they really need behind CeeDee Lamb. Brandon Cooks had a decent year, but Michael Gallup was not there, in my opinion. He's been good in the past and just wasn't there. I thought that they should have kept Amari Cooper and not Michael Gallup a few years ago, and that would have made this team much better this year. On the defensive side, I don't understand what happened because I thought they were the best defense in the league at the beginning of the year. They had an unbelievable rush with Michael Parsons, and their DBs are unbelievable. But if the team's running the ball, they run it right down Dallas's throat. I mean, right down. It doesn't. They can't stop it. And when they played the Packers, the issue was underneath passes. I mean, wide receivers, they have all mediocre wide receivers on the Packers, but they have such a good. Is your mic dead?
It just got unplugged.
Is it back on?
You're good. You can keep on.
All right. But the issue is their defense doesn't they don't like make adjustments for what's going on. They let the Packers pass underneath the entire game. They put up like 70 points doing it. So I mean the coaching in the defensive department has to make different changes to like you have the stars to be the best defense. They have to become the best defense now. They have to actually play like it every game.
Yeah, I mean, I'll start on the offensive side of the football. I did not want Tony Pollard back. I didn't think that he provided the spark that he did when he was a backup behind Elliott. Dallas, you did say it right. Dallas has transformed into a pass-first offense with CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott, which is fine. I mean, they crushed it in the air. But you need a running back. They have to go address in the draft. I will give the Cowboys the benefit of the doubt. They have drafted well and developed well there ever since Jerry Jones took over. So, if they're going to let a running back walk, I'm okay with them addressing the running back in the draft. I give them the benefit of the doubt because they usually succeed in that. But flipping it over to the defensive side of football, you did talk about it, Bryce. They couldn't stop the run if you told them every time when you were going to run. They wouldn't have stopped it. They have no interior tackles to stop the run, and they had safeties playing linebacker. And it was a glaring hole. It was obvious all year. You can't beat the Niners because you can't stop the run. You can't beat the Packers because you can't stop the run. The Packers may embarrass you guys because they ran the ball. And eventually when you say, we have to send everybody to stop the run, well, that's when they're going to hit you with a play action over the middle. It was obvious how to beat the Cowboys. It was only the Cowboys had to play from ahead where the other team had to throw, and that's when they could let their fucking edge rushers go wild because they had the best edge rushers and lockdown corners in the game. But they have nothing to stop the run and play from behind because they can't stop the run. They still can't. They did go out and acquire a linebacker, Eric Kendricks. He's old, but he has played Mike Zimmer's defense. So in that regard, he's going to know it in and out. So I do like that. Leighton Vander Esch had to medically retire. He is officially done because he broke his neck again for the 4th time of his career. It's crazy. Never seen anything like it. So I think the team has definitely gotten worse on paper. I mean, half their defense, a lot of the backups have left. Let me rephrase that. A lot of the defensive backups, the rotation players have left to go to Washington with Dan Quinn to get a full-time start. They're going to have to crush the draft. If they don't, they're going to be in trouble. They're also going to need players in previous drafts who haven't started to take that next step because they also lose Tyron Smith on the offensive line. That will be the Cowboys' first-round pick. I can almost lock it as somebody on the offensive line. They got some things to answer because they lost a lot of talent and they didn't add a lot. And the Eagles added a lot of talent and got better.
Yeah.
And I know that, best teams on paper don't always win in football, especially in football. You'll see a lot of best team on papers not work out. But I'm not worried about the offense whatsoever. I'm worried about the defense. But we'll see. And they're still definitely a playoff caliber team, in my opinion. But we'll see if they can ever get over that hump. You guys got anything else?
No. I mean, They're going to be the same every year. They're going to look like the best team in the regular season. and they're just going to fold in the playoffs if they have to play the Niners or the Packers every single year.
Yep. So like we did last episode, we had an MLB draft where we took 2 teams each in 3 different tiers, the top total 6 teams. And we started with the Korea series. So Bryce and Roy each took a team from them, the Dodgers and the Padres. So they each had 1 win, technically going into opening day, which still counts. We'll still count it because it was a regular season game. So we're going to update. And in last place for the week is Bryce. He has 12 wins.
Give me one more.
He has 12
Chicago
wins.
is up 12-2 right now.
Doesn't count. In second place is me. I have 14 wins, and Roy is in first with 19. And it is skewed because Roy had almost every team not face each other. Because when you have a team face each other in your own thing, it's 1 win, 1 loss. Me and Bryce did have a lot of those, and Roy had none the opening weekend in a 4 game. So that's why his numbers skew a little bit.
No, that's not true. I had the Pirates and Marlins.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah. But I will also say Roy is the only team, maybe not, as we record this could be different. As of last night, Roy has the only team that doesn't have a win on his books as well. Today. So they still over?
Yep.
Okay. Well,
who is it?
The Marlins. They haven't won a game yet.
O'Neal Cruz.
So that's the standings for that. And we're going to put it up there the whole time when we talk about it, so you'll see it. But then I'm just going to jump into MLB standings. We had 1 week, 5 games since the time of recording. When you guys see this, 6 games have been played for most teams. Roy, I'll ask you, when you look at these MLB standings, what's the first thing that jumps out to you that you want to talk about? So surprises, disappointments, anything.
There are 2 things that I notice right now. One, my boys, the Yankees. I mean, they're 5-0, which I did not think that was going to happen playing at the Astros. A 4-game series. I really thought that'd be a 2-2. I did not see a sweep, especially when Cortez gives up 5 runs in the first fucking inning or whatever. In the first 2 innings or whatever. That was horrible. And he's given up 2 tonight already. So the first inning. But the other one is the Pittsburgh or the Pirates being 5-0. I mean,
the Pirates.
I know they played the Marlins and won, but I mean, still be 5-0 to start off season.
O'Neal Cruz has been playing out of his mind.
Yep.
Yeah. So those are 2 things that I noticed real quick.
How about you, Bryce? What in the standings when you look at are surprising or disappointing?
I was definitely going to talk about the Pirates. I mean,
yeah,
they're undefeated and they're winning the division. And then the other one I wanted to talk about was the Astros. I mean, they're one of my picks, and they got swept by the Yankees, which I just did not think would happen. Yeah. They did finally get a win yesterday. It took a no-hitter to get it, but they got one. So,
yeah, I in agreement with you, Roy. Yankees being 5-0, sweeping Houston in Houston is a real shocker. They really got to the bullpen. The Astros had the lead in 3 of the 4 games. They got to that bullpen. And again, what you guys both said, Pittsburgh being 5-0 to go into Miami and sweep them. I know I'm not high on Miami, but still, anytime you sweep,
we're all low on Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
So.
And another team that I will talk about that you guys didn't mention is Detroit. I mean, they're 4-0, and again, I know they played the White Sox for 3 of them, so take it with a grain of salt. But their pitching staff. I mean, 3 or 4 of their starts, 2 runs or less, 2 runs or less.
Yeah.
And Detroit, that's a big ballpark, so you expect the pitching to play well. But, I mean, you have a bunch of young guys over there, and then you add Jack Flaherty in there who's on a 1-year deal. Prove it. It's a good start for Detroit, especially in a weak division. You work your way up to a 5 to 6 game lead in that AL Central. That might be enough. You know what I mean? Like, these teams are not very talented in that division. So good for Detroit as well. And so I think we'll just jump right in to some, surprising stats and, things like that. We'll start with the players of the week. NL player of the week for this week was Lourdes Gurriel Jr. from Arizona. And these are just a tad skewed because he won player of the week. And then, so that doesn't take into account his game from yesterday or when you guys are listening to this 2 days ago. But on my paper, it has taken into account. So his numbers dropped just a tad. But still, in the first 4 games or whatever it was, 3 home runs, 8 hits, 380 average, 10 RBIs is what stands out. And he's on base percentage of 1.34. Opening day against Colorado, he goes 3 for 5 with 5 RBIs. And then he gets a hit in every game of that series. 3 for 5, 1 for 4, 2 for 4, 2 for 4. Especially when you think of this Arizona team, Lourdes Gurriel Jr. is not the name that jumps off the page at you. So for the Diamondbacks to get production from him, that's impressive. And then the AL Player of the Week is the Yankees' Juan Soto. He gets 9 hits. He has a 450 batting average, only 4 RBIs, but he was the guy that was getting all the action started. On base percentage of 1.20. His series in Houston on the road in his first weekend in pinstripes, 1 for 3 with 2 walks, 3 for 4 with a walk, 2 for 5, 3 for 5 with a walk, and a game-winning RBI off the best closer in baseball, in Josh Hader. If you haven't seen that at bat, please watch it. It's one of the best at bats you'll see in all the season. Just the battle that they had.
I mean, he just has such a good eye. It makes
then
such
he
a good eye.
made a play in defense to save
Yeah,
that opening day, I agree. So what a start for Juan Soto. And then I threw in some players that I noticed that had really good weeks, and
I had a couple too.
We can open. Yeah, Bryce has a few that he's going to talk about. The first one that I'm going to talk about is Betts, and I picked this as my NL MVP before the year, and holy shit, what a start! I can't believe that he didn't win NL Player of the Week. But some of these stats have the Korean stuff in there, so that's why I didn't go into account. I mean, in 25 at bats, he's got 13 hits, 4 homers. He's batting .520 with 10 RBIs. I mean, this guy is mashing baseballs to start the year. And that's in a loaded Dodgers lineup. You can't work around him. What are you going to do, face Shohei and Freddie Freeman with him on base?
Yep.
You just can't. You got to pitch to him. It's the best 1, 2, 3 in baseball. It's not even close. And I don't care how much the Dodgers are down. They're in every game. I mean, that team is loaded from top to bottom. And then the other guy that I had on here is another New York Yankee, and it's not biased because he's leading the league in batting average and on-base percentage as of today, Anthony Volpe. He changed his swing in the offseason. He's looked so much better at the plate. He's always had a good eye, but, man, he's just hitting baseballs. And I think Juan Soto is rubbing off on some of this team. They're all being more patient than normal. But Volpe's stats, 14 at-bats. He's got 8 hits in the 14 at-bats, 3 doubles, lead the league. He's only struck out 3 times. He has 4 walks, like I said, 571 batting average, 667 on-base percentage while playing Gold Glove defense. He's only 23 years old. It's just what a great week. When the Yankees swept the Astros, you knew you were going to see a lot of Yankees on this list because they had a good weekend, but still, really good week.
I had 3 players I wanted to talk about. The first one I literally added at the very beginning of this podcast because he hit 3 home runs in a game today. Bryce Harper. I mean, the guy is slugging for the fences right now.
And before today, he was 0 for whatever. He had 0 hits until this game, and then
and then he comes out and hits a 3
home run game.
3 home run game. The next guy I want to talk about was yesterday, 2 days ago for you guys. Ronel Blanco for the Astros throws a no-hitter against the Blue Jays. He had 9 innings pitched, 0 hits, 0 errors, 7 strikeouts, and 2 walks. And I mean, he was on fire all game.
And that's such a big boost to a team. The Astros have high hopes and they're a good team. And to get swept 0-4 to the Yankees, a rival in Houston, morale can be down and disappointed. And then the next day your number 5 starter throws a no-hitter.
Yeah.
That could really get you right back on the horse.
I mean, a guy I never heard of. And then shout out to their defense, too. Their defense saved a lot of singles that probably would have been hits on other teams. So it was just kind of an all-around win for this team. Good win for my first overall pick. So, well, I think I picked him second. But the other player I want to talk about was Shota Imanaga. I mean, if this guy plays the way he played in his MLB debut, he's going to win Rookie of the Year without a doubt. 6 innings pitched, 2 hits, 9 strikeouts. It's like the 17th time or something like that that's ever been done in an MLB debut. Had a no-hitter until Josh decided to text me. Wow. And then very next pitch was a hit.
Yep.
So
sorry about
fuck
that,
Josh. Cubs got a good win out of it too. So I'm super pumped about Shota Imanaga now this year. Roy, do you have any players you want to talk about?
Yeah, I got two that I was thinking about. The first one was Teoscar Hernandez. Is that his name from the Dodgers? I mean, he had a great first 4 home runs. I mean, he had a game winner. He's hitting over 400. He is a guy that's going to succeed with those. You're talking about Mookie Betts.
Yeah.
You're talking about Freeman. He could sit in there and just be. They're going to have to pitch those 3 guys. He can sit back there and just do what he wants. The other one,
if you're going to work around those 3, somebody you have to pitch to. The people, Will Smith, Teoscar Hernandez, they're going to get their RBI chances.
And he's taking advantage of that. Yeah. The other guy I want to talk to was a Yankee. I know you talked about Volpe. I want to talk about Oswald Cabrera. Could not believe the guy that I didn't even think was make the team. Yeah, I mean, batting over 400 and has done. I mean, his hitting has kept the Yankees in games. Yeah, the first couple against Houston, he hit a couple home runs to either tie it or give him a lead, and that's what I mean. He has done a great job and played a great third base.
Yeah,
and so he's been a surprise for the Yankees. So those were my 2 guys.
It's been really nice to see some of these younger guys step up for the Yankees because they spend all their big money on a few guys, and you can't pay everybody. You just can't.
Well, I mean, these guys are stepping up when Judge is batting 100.
Yeah.
Torres is batting 100. Stan's batting 100. Verdugo's batting 100. I mean, you got these guys aren't hitting the ball. Then you got 3 or 4 other guys that are. So they're picking up the slack.
Yeah. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about for MLB? I mean,
it's first week. It's been, it's been cold in places, a lot of rainouts. I still think the Braves still look really good. I mean, they played Philly. Philly I think Philly looks good. So, the Brewers I thought would look better than what I thought they were going to be. But, we're like you said, Pittsburgh, they get hot early. Who knows where they'll be back in July.
True.
That's the problem. That's the only problem with Major League Baseball. 162 games. 5 games can look really, really good, but then you get to July and you say, "Well, what the hell happened after those 5 games?" So it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Another person I want to talk about real shortly, and to no surprise, he's healthy. Is Mike Trout. I mean, he leads baseball off opening day with a home run. I mean, he's just crushing baseballs. He's got 2 or 3 of them. I think he had 2 yesterday. And when this guy's healthy, he's one of the best players in baseball. He has been for the last 10 years. He has no protection in that lineup. He's going to start getting walked here soon, every at bat. They're just not going to pitch to him, and they're going to face everybody else. The team's abysmal outside of that, but Mike Trout's still Mike Trout. Bobby Witt still keeping up that MVP campaign he had last year. I mean, he's got what? He's got to be batting like 400 something.
We're seeing Christopher Morel develop into a superstar.
Right, he's got some power going.
Yeah.
So, should be fun. A lot of the teams had, West Coast trips for the Yankees case, or just trips in general that haven't had their opening day. So this week coming up will be a lot of, opening day 2.0s.
Does that mean you're flying out to New York for the opening day, Josh?
No, Roy. You know what I tried to get Bryce to do?
He wants me to go on an LA trip to a few games there.
In late
Why not?
May.
Why wouldn't you?
That's what I said. In late May, the Yankees have 3 games set in San Diego and then a 3-game set in Anaheim. And I wanted to go to the back end of San Diego and the first part of Anaheim on like a Thursday and then come back like Sunday.
There's no way I could.
That's a no-brainer. I definitely would have gone. San Diego would have been a blast.
I know. That's what I said. And the Airbnb in San Diego combined was like $110 a night.
Mm-hmm.
If he pays for half of my part, I'll go.
No, it's not a chance. I'm going by myself at that point. Liberal ass.
All right, I think we're on to our miscellaneous section, correct?
Yep. I'm going to do a lock, and I also have a game, and mine will be nice and quick. But my lock of the week, I am going to go baseball. I have made some good money on baseball since opening day. On opening day, I made $400-something on DraftKings. I won 2 different bets. I was pretty pumped.
I just had my Cubs won during this podcast.
So I need to go into tomorrow because I need to get out. Let me look. I'm going to do this live for you guys. I'm going to do strip money lines. I'm going to take the Boston Red Sox money line over the Oakland Athletics. I do that every time the Oakland Athletics play. I don't like that one. I don't like that one. Ooh, these are some tough ones. I'm not going to lie. Ooh, man, these are hard ones. These are all good. All the ones are back up.
Hit a 5-pick
So I'm
parlay
taking
of
all the
Orioles
aces.
and
Um,
missed every one of them.
I will take the the Mariners over the Guardians with George Kirby on the mound. And I'm just going to stick it with that. I'm going to stick Red Sox over Athletics, Mariners over Guardians. Both, Red Sox are away. Mariners are at home. I'm going to bet $25. It pays $67.12.
Right.
So that's going to be my lock. And then my game of the week, real quick, I have a baseball reference page, kind of how we do, you say this is the teams that the guys bet on, but I have just a page so you guys can look at it. And you're not going to be able to see the player, but you're going to try to guess the player. So let me share my screen. I want to start with this one.
So you're going to show us stats, maybe guess who it is?
Yeah, you'll. All right, can you guys see that?
Yeah.
Bryce, you can look here if you need to.
I can see it kind of.
Okay. So this is, and on the right side, you can't see this. You can see it if you look at the stats. This is a pitcher.
He's on St. Louis in 2021 was his last season?
Correct. So
yeah.
I'll read it out loud.
Roy sounds like he already knows who it
He
is.
started in Boston.
I know who it is. I just can't think of his name right now.
Okay. Started in Boston for a while, was traded to Oakland, and then spent 4 to 5 years in Chicago, was traded. He went to Washington, and then he finished his career in St. Louis. And he was a 5-time All-Star.
Yeah, he's a lefty. Gosh dang it.
And
so he was on the championship Cubs team?
He was on the championship Cubs team with the best winning percentage in baseball that year. If you see a bold, that means that was the best in that stat that season. So in 2018, he went 18-6 and led baseball with 18 wins. And in 2019, he led baseball in giving up 205 hits.
I mean, the best our ace that year.
I thought this was the easy one.
Oh, I got it.
3.
I got it.
I mean, if it's our ace from.
Do you
I
remember?
Can't believe Bryce can't
is
know.
it Arrieta?
No.
Who is it?
John Lester.
Oh,
it is John Lester.
Yeah.
I can't believe Cubs fan didn't get that, man.
I remember him from being a Red Sox for years. So, but I remember he went to the Cubs. So
I forgot about
this. Is John Lester? Oh, I didn't think I was going to close. This is John Lester, and here is. Let me make sure. I did 3 of them. I think that's the hard one. I know who. Yeah, I'll do this one next.
Player 2. Tampa and
Tampa Bay. Yeah, and retired as a Diamondback.
I knew you would get this one quick, Roy.
Who is it?
I gave the first one on the
easy. Did you not guess?
He doesn't know who it is.
Evan Longoria.
This is Evan Longoria.
I got that.
He's on the show. You have him.
I know I have him. I just wouldn't have.
Now I have a third, and I'm going to be honest.
He's still with Arizona?
No, he's a free agent. He's just a free agent. Oh. And player 3, he is a batter. And he's
been tossed around.
Currently still playing. So he, 2024. That's this season.
It's on Toronto in 2024.
Correct.
Well, how's he still playing? His batting average was shit.
And if you guys can't figure it out, I will give you a few hints. I'll give you one hint that won't help.
He was a DH for the Mets last year.
Correct.
Oh, DH for the Mets.
Oh, there's no way it's that guy. I don't know what team he went to. Where did Danny Vogelback go to? He's not old enough to be this, is he?
I have no clue.
23. So it's not him.
No, I don't know. I don't know who Daniel Vogelback's on.
Who did he go to?
I mean, is that your guess?
No.
I mean, it can be. I'm just saying. I'm not saying if that's right or wrong. I just don't know who Daniel Vogelback plays for.
I know it's not the Mets anymore. He went somewhere else. He's not that old either, though.
I don't
Guys
know.
got-
I don't even have a guess.
I'll give you guys a hint. One of you two is a big fan of this player.
It is Daniel Vogelbach.
It is Daniel
Okay.
Vogelbach. Danny fucking Burgers.
That would have been my only guess, but I can't believe I got the hard one.
I was
can't
trying
either.
to figure.
I picked this one hard because I thought if anyone would get it, it would
Well, I
be
was thinking DH for the Mets. He's the only guy I could think that would DH
Yeah.
for the Mets.
Because
last
when
year.
I think of Daniel Vogelbach, I think of him in Seattle the first few years because that's where he was.
I
active.
love Danny fucking Vargas.
Like his last year in Seattle, he was an all-star, hit 30 home runs. That's how I remember it. Okay, that's all I have.
I didn't think he was that old.
All right, Bryce's turn.
All right, I had 2 games, but one of them I thought was much harder, and I didn't think you guys would get it. So I'm going to give you 3 strikes with 10 answers.
Oh, damn.
This is. You think you should get more than 3 strikes?
No, that's right. What sport?
It is going to be basketball again.
NBA.
Oh,
I've only done one basketball one. I figured I'd do another one.
I already damn basketball.
This one is going to be people who have won an MVP on a team that they were not drafted by. I'll give you 3 strikes. You should be able to get this in 3 strikes, I think.
LeBron,
All right, a player that was MVP but was not drafted by that team.
Yes.
So like Kobe Bryant.
Correct.
Okay.
That is kind of one of those tricky ones.
I wouldn't have.
He's drafted by Charlotte.
Yeah, I knew that, but I wouldn't have thought you would have been that hard on it. Did LeBron win one in Miami? Has to have. Well, I don't know. There's 3 of them.
I mean, he LeBron won one in Cleveland.
Well, he was drafted by Cleveland.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm asking if he
you're
won one
talking
in
about he
Miami.
won MVP. Could he have won MVPs in multiple places and even a team where he got drafted by?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you LeBron is an answer. I was supposed to say besides LeBron.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Then
So-
LeBron.
Yeah, LeBron
He's
is
not really an answer. Yeah.
Not an answer, so he's technically didn't get him. But
Yeah.
Oh, he's an answer, but he's not one of the 10.
Yeah. I was supposed to say besides LeBron. What?
I didn't remember if LeBron won the MVP in Miami.
Charles Barkley.
Charles Barkley is one. Roy's getting the tough ones.
He got
won an MVP.
I think he won
Yeah.
2, didn't he?
He won Phoenix. I don't know if he won 2. I know he won one in Phoenix, but he was drafted
He
by
was a
Philly.
dog. He was the second best player in the league.
Shaq's had to have won one.
Oh,
Is that an
Shaq's won
answer?
several.
Shaq.
Yep, Shaq. Drafted by the Magic,
Yeah.
one with the Lakers, one with.
KD won, but he still won his when he was in.
He didn't win one in Boston.
Not Boston. The
He did not
Warriors.
win one in Boston.
Yeah,
he was
he's
never been in
played-
Boston.
Never been in Boston.
You said KG, right?
I said
Oh,
KD.
Oh, I thought you said KG. Kevin
Oh,
Garnett.
No.
okay. You go Boston. I go, well, that's not where he's ever been.
Kevin Durant didn't win one outside of OKC.
I don't think so. I think
Yeah.
he only won in OKC.
I mean, technically, you could get real tricky and say Supersonics, but it's still the same team. He's not an answer.
Did Steve Nash ever win one? I know he bounced.
Yeah. Steve Nash won one, and I would say that's him. Yep.
Yeah, Nash.
He did one for the team that he was drafted by, though.
But he was
Was that
drafted by
correct?
who?
Suns, right?
No, he was
That's-
drafted by Dallas.
I can look it up.
We can't. We would probably have to look it up because he's not on my list of answers. I know that he's the only MVP, one of the only MVPs that never won a championship.
Steve Nash won 2 MVPs with the Suns. So let's see.
Who's he drafted by?
No, he was drafted by the Suns.
He was drafted by the
Yep.
Suns, then went to the
That's what I thought.
Mavericks, and then back to the Suns for a long time.
That's what I thought. So there's an X.
Yeah.
I thought he was drafted by Dallas. Okay,
He's only have one X, correct?
Correct.
correct. And we only have what, three
Yeah,
of
we
the
have
10.
2 strikes left. Well, really one.
But I mean, we've only got 3 answers, right?
Yeah, we've got Kobe, Barkley, Shaq. God damn.
There's still probably 3 easy ones in my opinion. The other ones is when it gets hard, and I'll give you hints if you need them.
I don't know.
I can give you a hint since you have an X.
Did
if you
Russell
want.
Westbrook win MVP?
His was in OKC. It's where he was drafted.
Okay.
Guys, now you ran through that.
Would you like a hint?
Harden.
Yep. I was going to give you a hint on him. So
James Harden.
yeah, one with the Rockets, drafted by OKC.
Did Carmelo ever win an MVP outside of Denver? I don't think he did.
No, not in New York.
I don't even know if he won one with Denver. Did he?
No,
I
I
don't
don't
think
think
he
so.
won. I don't think he won one.
Yeah.
CP3 never got one.
Mm-mm.
I'm trying to think of people that have moved. Like,
Did Jordan get one with the Wizards?
No, he was on a.
He was a ballot, like a top three
He
or
was-
four. Three
Yeah,
in
and then he
ballot.
went down, and then he didn't get it. He was number one for a while, and then he had an injury that slowed him down a little bit. He was averaging like almost 40 points a game at that point.
Defensive guys.
Did Dwayne? No, Dwayne Wade would have got all his in
Yeah.
Miami.
Would you like a hint?
Yeah.
Sure.
The first hint I'm going to give you is that all of these but one is a power forward or center.
Wow.
All the ones that are left.
Hakeem Olajuwon ever play anywhere else?
Not that I know of. I mean, he may have played somewhere, but he didn't win MVP anywhere else.
Anthony Davis doesn't have an MVP. Does he? I don't think
No,
so.
it
Who?
doesn't.
Anthony Davis. No.
AD doesn't have one.
I'm thinking of old ones. Karl Malone didn't win anything anywhere else. But I don't know if he was drafted by Utah or not. I don't even know. Just think of MVPs.
Bill Russell,
He was drafted.
Wilt Chamberlain, Dr. J.
Wilt Chamberlain played for about 3 or 4 different teams, but I don't
Wilt
even remember.
Chamberlain.
Wilt Chamberlain is an answer, yes. He was drafted by the Lakers, I believe, and he won one with the Warriors. Or it was flip-flopped. I believe he won. He was drafted by the Warriors, won one with the Lakers.
you're right.
Because he went to the Lakers to beat Bill Russell and never did.
Kareem.
Larry Bird. Kareem. Oh, Kareem might. He was drafted by the Bucks.
Mm-hmm.
Kareem.
Kareem is another answer. Won one with the Lakers.
Okay.
You have 4 left.
4 left.
Dr. J.
No, I think
Played
he's all
Brooklyn.
with Philly.
Yeah, but he played in Brooklyn for a little bit, didn't he? Or not? Not Brooklyn.
New Jersey.
The
New
Nets.
Jersey.
Yeah, I was trying to
Jersey.
think.
Not that I know. I mean, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know much about Dr. J. I'm thinking more of the 90s, 2000.
If you guys get another one wrong, I'll give you another hint.
Whose recent ones have won MVPs?
Jokic, not moved.
No.
Luka doesn't have an MVP because he could have
I
technically.
think Giannis won MVP before Jokic.
Yeah, but he's never moved.
Derrick Rose, didn't he win one in Chicago, right?
He won one in Chicago. He's the youngest MVP ever.
Yeah, but it's where he was drafted.
Giannis was
KG.
he drafted by the Bucks? Giannis?
Yes.
Yeah. Did KG ever win one
No.
in Boston?
No. He had Paul Pierce.
He had Paul Pierce on the team.
I mean, LeBron James had Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh apparently won one.
Yeah, but LeBron was the best of those 3. KG wasn't better than Paul Pierce.
Paul Pierce is trash, so.
I would have took Cage. I love Kevin Garnett. So just trying to think of like
Who were dominant big men in the late 2000s? Shaq, Pau Gasol, Marc Gasol, Yao Ming. I don't think they want.
On your next X, I'll give you 2 hints.
I
then you only have
don't
one left.
really know anyone.
You want to just throw out a name to get an X?
I'm just trying to make an educated guess though.
Dr. J is my best educated guess because I know he's played for 2 different teams, but I couldn't tell you if he won an MVP or not.
Go ahead because I'm trying.
Dr. J.
That is the correct answer.
Let's go.
He was drafted by New Jersey Nets and won on the Sixers.
I
Wow.
thought that's how it was. But
I didn't have a clue.
I just,
Yeah.
I
You
don't
have 3 left, and one of them is really hard, in my opinion. I wouldn't get that one. I feel like I could get all of them, but this one.
What about Vince Carter?
I don't see a world
He's
where he
drafted by
won MVP.
Toronto, but I don't think he ever won MVP.
I don't think so either. But we can guess if we want. I just don't think he ever won one.
I don't either. I don't think he ever won one. Anthony Hardaway.
Penny Hardaway.
Penny Hardaway. I don't know if
I
he
doubt
won,
he won one. He was only in Orlando, and that's when he was good.
but he was drafted by Golden State.
Was he?
Him
But he
and
played
Chris
with Shaq. There's no way he got one over Shaq.
He got a well. I mean, Shaq left. Penny was still there. He got drafted draft day. He was picked third. Chris Webber was picked first. Orlando picked Chris Webber. Golden State picked Penny Hardaway, and they traded on draft day.
Didn't know that.
Like Trae Young and Luka.
I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I thought they were going to be on there.
Or Kobe and someone else.
Damn.
Would you like one of your hints before the X?
Yeah, because I don't have a clue right now.
I don't
One
either.
of them, in my opinion, has the best championship run ever. Like, most valuable, in my opinion. Like the teams he beat.
So it's an opinion thing. I mean,
It was in either late 2000s or early 2010s. Or maybe it was mid 2010s. It was in the last 20 years for one of them.
well, I mean, the Lakers won a bunch between 2000 and 2010.
Kawhi Leonard.
There you go.
Kawhi Leonard.
It is not Kawhi Leonard.
Wow. Kawhi Leonard never won an
I
MVP?
don't think he has an MVP.
That's
I thought he did.
crazy.
If he did, it was on the Spurs.
He didn't get good till he left the Spurs.
They won a championship there.
Yeah, he was like the sixth man, the defensive specialist. I don't even know if he averaged 10 points.
Finals MVP.
Yeah, because he locked down LeBron and he was a 3-and-D. That was all he did.
Yeah, he doesn't have
I'm
an
trying to
actual
think of-
MVP.
Damn.
I'm
That's
trying to think
crazy.
between 2000 and 2010 championships. And all I see is Lakers.
Celtics.
Go 2010 to 2020. It was in that. I think.
No, I quit
When I
watching.
think of those times, I think of Cavs, Heat, Spurs, and Warriors.
There's a team you're missing.
I mean, like Dirk, Dallas. But
I don't know if Dirk has a regular MVP. He might.
I think he does.
Well,
but
it
I don't
has
know.
to be. The way that he described it has to be Dirk.
Because I don't know who got drafted.
Dirk
by.
Nowitzki.
It is Dirk. I don't know who he was drafted by, but he was traded on draft day.
Yeah, I don't remember. Let me see.
In my opinion, he has the best championship run ever. He beat the OKC, Kevin Durant, James Harden, Russell Westbrook, and the Heat.
Hell, he was drafted by Milwaukee Bucks.
Yeah, Bucks. I looked it up, actually. I knew that.
I didn't know that.
I did not know that.
And then there's two more.
Two more?
Yeah, one of them you have already mentioned his name.
Great.
The other one, I don't think you
My only guess is Bill Russell, but I have no clue. He ever play anywhere other than Boston?
He played 13 years in Boston and won 11 championships.
What was he drafted there?
I assumed he was. I have no freaking clue.
That's my guess if I can't come up with anybody, but I don't know.
Somebody we've already talked about. And he said somebody that's really hard that we'll never get.
I don't think you'll get. Roy might get it, but Josh will not.
Super old player.
It's not a super old player, but
Or maybe it is Penny.
Nah,
We've mentioned
I don't think Penny won MVP.
I don't
though.
think he did either. I
After
also
he-
don't think Vince Carter got one.
I don't either. But you can go Bill Russell. I think he was drafted by the.
All right,
by,
Bill Russell.
It is Bill Russell. He
Yes.
was drafted by the St. Louis Hawks.
So then we got
We
one
have
more.
one
That, we got one more that's and it's really hard.
I think this is the hardest one, yeah.
Do we get any hints with this one?
I can give you
Okay,
the team he won one on if you want.
Yeah.
I believe the team he won one on was the Sixers.
Old Sixers player, Roy. Doesn't have to be crazy old, but older.
I mean, I only know like 4.
Yeah, I know. I don't know.
Allen
almost any
Iverson's
Sixers.
one of them, and he was drafted by Philly.
I don't know. I give up. I don't know.
I know Dr. J.
He
And I
won
know-
3 as a
He won-
Sixer.
Damn.
He won 3 MVPs.
Mm-hmm.
So it has to be like in the 70s because that's when they were good.
80s.
Oh, 80s. Jeez.
He famously predicted the faux for faux.
What the fuck is that?
He swept them. He said he would go faux for faux.
Oh.
George Gervin. I have no idea.
Patrick Ewing ever play there?
No, he played for the Knicks.
He was drafted by the Trailblazers.
I have no fucking clue.
You guys
You're
know the
not-
answer?
That didn't even help me at all. Yeah, I don't have a clue.
It is Moses Malone.
Oh man, I know that
Oh,
name. I don't.
I know the
Couldn't
name.
have
The
told
other
you-
Malone. Yeah.
couldn't have
I
told
didn't
you
know
who
he
he played for.
I didn't know he won 3 freaking champion or 3.
I didn't know that
MVPs.
either.
Yeah. Okay.
I can't believe you guys got Bill Russell. I didn't think you would get that one or Moses Malone.
I thought Bill
You guys
Russell,
did better than I thought you were going to do. I didn't think you would get Dirk either, but I mean, the hint helped.
I mean, that was tough. Because
That was a tough-
The hint also gave us a strike because I thought it was for sure Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah. The other game that I had that I thought was harder was 70-point games. That one was tough. There was players on there I'd never even heard of. So I didn't do that one.
Yeah.
How many players went 70?
Like 20.
There is 9.
Wow.
I mean,
There
I can
was a
come
few.
up. I know.
I could probably. We
come
could
up
have probably
with
got
4.
like 10.
You can do it if you want, but it's up to you guys.
I can only come up with about 4, I think.
There's some tough. There was.
I know Booker's on there.
Yeah, Booker is on there like twice.
I know.
Well,
Roy, you want to go to your?
All right, Roy, your turn.
Well, mine's just a saying, so mine's quick. I didn't feel like doing a game. It's just about an old saying about you don't think you get smarter when you get older. You just run out of dumb shit to do.
It's a good one.
That's about it.
All right.
All right.
Hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, comment. Appreciate the support and happy that baseball's back. And
Yeah. I'm
Oh,
currently
yeah.
working on a sponsor, so look out for that.
Oh Jesus Christ!
If I get it, it will be announced hopefully next episode.
It won't
but-
happen. I hope it does. I hope I'm wrong. I would love to eat my words, but it's not happening.
But it is an alcoholic beverage that we're hoping to get sponsored by. They're a small company, so hopefully that happens.
all right,
Is it the
you
logo?
would never guess it if your life depended on
Yeah.
it.
It's something we drink at the casino, and we win money every time we drink it.
All right, peace.
See ya.
See ya.